Yo, what's going on, guys? I didn't expect to be recording a reaction video anytime soon, but I actually recorded a few videos beforehand which actually didn't get recorded, so I'm doing this so I can keep my streak going of recording every second day. And if you haven't noticed, I've been doing quite well at that. So today we're going to be watching what if Earth started rotating backwards right now, which I'm just gonna throw it out there. I think a lot of stuff would happen if it did start happening. Anyway, let's go.
Right now, as you're listening to my voice and watching this video, you're flying around in space at a speed you probably don't realize because of the way the Earth rotates. If you're standing on the equator, then you'd be traveling at a speed of 1,670 kilometers per hour from west to east, or counterclockwise as viewed from above the North Pole. Every planet in the solar system rotates in this direction, except for Uranus and Venus. So, Earth has been rotating pretty normally, all things considered. But we know that it's gradually slowing down at a rate of about 2.3 milliseconds per century. Therefore, a day in 2019 is roughly 2 milliseconds shorter than a day was back in 1919.
Wow, that made such a difference, right?
Now, Earth will cease rotating entirely. But Earth will actually billions of years from now, than a day was back in 1919. Eventually, billions of years from now, Earth will cease rotating entirely.
Billion years later, we're not gonna be here anyway.
Rotating in the opposite direction like Venus does. But just for fun, what would happen if it did, like, right now? The easy answer is that everybody would probably just die from whiplash and getting flung around at thousands of kilometers per hour if it just happened immediately. But that's kind of boring, so let's imagine in fantasy land that nobody dies and it just starts happening. How would society and your daily life be affected? Let's start with the immediate effects. Every satellite in orbit right now would be immediately obsolete because they're functioning on the assumption that
they would
something stupid
all
like this
go out of place. So
imagine if every satellite was orbiting Earth in the wrong direction, and that's the consequence that we'd be dealing with. So GPS and cell services would probably be pretty majorly disrupted for a while. Time zones, as we know them, would also be pretty messed up. Humanity rather arbitrarily drew lines across the Earth's surface and decided that this mess is how we measure time across the planet. Under the current system, a new day...
I never noticed that's how we measure time. Like, it's just a bunch of lines that indicate what time is what. Yeah, that's interesting. Because in Australia, it's +10, so then that's... Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting.
Begins at 12 a.m. just to the west of the international dateline here, and continues westward for 24 hours until reaching the eastern side of the dateline on the other side, once Earth makes an entire rotation. If Earth pulled a switcheroo and began rotating in the opposite direction, this would completely change. The sun would rise in the west and set in the east, and the time of day would, therefore, have to flow from the east of the international dateline. The first big cities to celebrate the new year would be Honolulu and Anchorage, while North America would be the first continent, and New Zealand would be the last significantly populated place to get a chance to celebrate.
New Zealand would just be
a lot more would change on the surface of Earth over time than just, well, time. The seasons of Earth wouldn't change because those are determined by Earth's axial tilt and not her rotation.
So
however,
the seasons
Earth's climate would gradually change over time dramatically because that is influenced by her rotation. As the planet rotates, the push and pull of its sheer momentum decides the direction of the ocean's currents. Along with atmospheric wind flows, this is what produces the range of climate patterns that we see across the Earth's surface.
A bunch of weather
If you change the direction of Earth's rotation, all of this changes in some pretty wild ways. Let's talk about Europe first. One of the most important ocean currents in the world is the Gulf Stream, which carries warm ocean water from the Gulf of Mexico and Florida up to Western Europe. Combined with the jet stream winds which carry clouds and rainwater from Canada to Northern Europe, the European continent in our normal spinning world is a warmer and wetter place than it otherwise would be. If Earth's rotation reversed, this would be totally different. Based on a computer simulation that was run in 2018 at the European Geosciences Union General Assembly, Western Europe would be a much colder and snowier place that would be about 10 degrees Celsius lower on average, and would more resemble the climate climate
lower.
of Russia today, while the UK and Ireland would be really, really colder and would more resemble northern Alaska and Canada.
Most
These
of England
changes
is
would take
already
place gradually
cold,
over time,
so...
but would be quick on a geological timescale. The computer simulation produced these results after only 7,000 years into the future. But every other continent in the world would suffer from extreme climate change as well.
Yeah.
Perhaps none more
would
so
it be even
than
hotter
Africa
in
and the
like
Middle
Australia?
East. With changing
something?
wind patterns and ocean currents shifting to North Africa and the Middle East, the deserts would disappear. The entire Sahara would vanish, replaced by a dense green forest that would stretch across the entire Middle East as well. North Africa and the Middle East would more resemble the climates of France and Germany today, with...
So like all the deserts and stuff would look like that, instead of being deserty. Oh. Wow.
milder climates and
count
a
how many
lot
times
of
I said
rainfall.
wow in this
the
video.
Mediterranean Sea would almost become a freshwater lake with a tremendously increased amount of rainfall in the area. The outback desert in Australia also vanishes under these conditions. Replaced with
so
a
even
vast
Australia
interior
would be
steppe.
different.
Interestingly, it appears
No
that the climates
way.
of western and eastern Australia will switch places, with more grasslands and rainfall in the west and more arid steppes in the east. Pretty much every major desert in the world today vanishes, but new deserts pop up in some unexpected areas where they haven't ever existed before. Like, for example, North America. The entire southern U.S., from Texas to Florida to North Carolina, is transformed into a vast, hot, arid desert that resembles the climate of Iraq or Saudi Arabia today. The West Coast, on the other hand, gets significantly colder and snowier and more resembles the climate of Quebec today. South America also changes dramatically. The new largest desert in the world is located here across modern-day Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. This great South American desert effectively becomes the new world Sahara, with another vast desert in the north covering much of Colombia, Venezuela, and Guyana. South America becomes the world's most desert-covered continent, with what remains of the Amazon rainforest in between. And finally, there's Asia. India mostly remains the same, while China changes significantly. A vast desert similar to the Gobi
China would become a desert as well.
Southeast. Much of Southeast Asia surrounding this desert, like northern Vietnam, becomes an arid steppe. Manchuria becomes a warmer place with forests and rain, while Kamchatka in Russia weirdly transforms into a pretty mild place, with a lot less cold and snow than the rest of Russia. If the world started spinning backwards today, everything about our way of lives, from time to geography, would change dramatically. With less desert coverage overall,
we'd all be dead, so it doesn't really matter.
Slightly by about 0.2 degrees Celsius. It's impossible to predict exactly what kind of an influence this would have on history. I'll leave that discussion down for the comments. But either way, it's fascinating to think about how a seemingly simple thing like the direction of Earth's rotation can have such an enormous impact on both history and society.
We're kind of lucky.
that govern how the Earth operates.
We're kind of lucky the Earth's spinning the correct way.
How it all works.
So guys, I hope you guys learned something new, and it was actually really interesting to see what would happen if the Earth rotated backwards. And as the guy said in the video, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments, because it'd be interesting to see what you guys think too. Anyways, I hope you guys liked it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.